What do you mean reduced risk? I'm offering a guaranteed rent, whether I'm doing HMOs, whether I'm doing serviced accommodation. I'm guaranteeing a rent here. I could be out of pocket if I don't manage to fill these properties. Yes, but let's just take a step back here. If you were going to buy a property, now let's just say for argument's sake, forget the numbers. The numbers are the numbers wherever you are across the country. I'm going to keep them stupid simple here. And let's say we're looking at buying a property for £300,000. Let's say it's a 6-bed HMO. £300,000. You would have to put down a large chunk of cash, a deposit for that property. That's a big risk. You've then got to pay all the solicitors' fees, all of the search fees. You've then got to buy the property. You'll then have a mortgage on the property. That is a risk as well. Now, when I do a rent-to-rent deal, I look at the guaranteed rent that I pay the landlord as basically being a mortgage. Because if I bought the property, I'd have to pay the mortgage company a guaranteed rent. It might not be a guaranteed rent, we'd just call it a mortgage, but I would have to pay them that mortgage, and that's a guarantee or I lose the property. Exactly the same with rent to rent. You're guaranteeing a rent which in most cases you could look at in your business and say, that is like paying a mortgage. If I don't pay it, I lose the property. So the risk isn't that great because you can take properties on and you can try what you want to try in that area. So let's just say you found a nice property. It looks like a good area with workers, with great rental demand. Then you start trying to fill the property and you manage to fill it. But the rental demand's not as good as you want, or the tenant type isn't quite what you want. Or you're doing serviced accommodation and you're not quite getting the market, or the research has said that it's really good, but you're not quite getting the results that you want. If you set yourself up as a business in a proper manner, you can always issue what we call a break clause in the contract. Never have a contract without a break clause. We don't want to break a contract by not paying, because that's going to damage our reputation, and we should never get into a deal with the intention of using the break clause. That's very important as well. But sometimes we do. I've issued break clauses on contracts, on deals that I've had, because they haven't quite worked the way that I hoped for. I had a few properties that were relatively small, 5 beds. When I took them on, the deals and the numbers stacked. Then the utility prices went up, and even though we looked at uplifting the rooms, we still couldn't quite get the numbers to stack. So we issued the break clause and we gave the properties back in the same way or the same manner that we received them, if not a bit better. Actually, we always look to improve. Okay? Shook hands, no harm done. And I've also subsequently took on more properties to replace those properties. Your first deals are never going to be your best deals. Let's get that right. Whether you've got help and support or whatever, you get better with time. It's the same as anything. But it's a reduced risk. If you've bought the property and all of a sudden you realize the same thing, I'm not quite getting the clientele I wanted, it's not working out for me, you've then got to put that property on the market. You've then got to be negotiated and haggled on that you may potentially lose money because you don't know whether the market's going up, whether it's a stagnant market or whether the market's dropping. At the moment, the market is going up and down like a yo-yo. So one minute we're booming, the next minute we're not. It's all a bit quiet on the Western Front at the moment. So you just don't know where you're going to be. So you could lose money there. That's a risk. You've of course got to keep paying the mortgage until it's sold. It could take 6 months. Hey, it could take 12 months. To sell the property. That is 12 months. You're stuck paying this mortgage. You're stuck with this property. You're stuck with all this money tied up, not being able to move. So I hope you can understand that by using the rent-to-rent strategy, you can really reduce your risk when it comes to particularly starting out, practicing. I say practicing. It's probably not the best word, but you can practice with other people's properties, doing a good job, and then you know what works in your area. I always say it. I now know with the properties that I have what works in my area. If a property comes up for sale now, I'll buy it. Why? Because I can cookie cutter exactly what I'm already doing, what I've already practiced, if you like, and then use that on the properties. So it is a reduced risk because you're not having the massive outlays. And equally to that, you're not having to sit around and wait for solicitors to A, help you buy the thing, or B, help you sell the thing, and estate agent fees and all of those things that come with it. But it is a great, great strategy for practicing and seeing and testing your markets.